welcome to We'll Throw the After Party. Is it the heat wave? Is it the hot topics this episode? Or is it Alexis in that cute as fuck shirt? Who's to say? But pull up the seat. It's about to get loud. We're missing someone this week. Once again, we're in our season of only having 3 co-hosts. Bestie Marissa is off scene Into the Woods this evening on Broadway. And we are thrilled to hear that she is making sure that Kate Bishop's dad is alive and well, along with our faves from High School Musical, the musical, the series. No word on if our favorite MCU sweater salesman's doing well, other than a rogue tweet on our account this week. But perhaps he'll come up later in the episode when we break down our hot takes on what's happening on MCU TikTok. Oh my God. Speaking of TikTok, if you're joining us in this heat wave, some of us have some nice, cool beverages. I am rocking the Thor Love and Thunder cup, and I'm seeing lots of chatter in the comments around what y'all are enjoying this week as well. Keep the comments coming all night long. I see Sylvan's joining us with a little White Claw moment. Not basic at all. We love it. We love it. I see Uber Eats is on the agenda. If Uber Eats wants to sponsor the show, listen, I am your #1 consumer of McDonald's Uber Eats in this city. Besties, how are you doing this week? What are we drinking? How are we feeling? What's the vibe? Who would like to start?
I never go first.
So Sly, what's going on?
I'm here. I have La Croix. I have an ice water. I'm vibing.
Vibing. We love to see it. And you're wearing a little bit of an Easter egg of a sweater this evening. And I have a little bit of an Easter egg of a background this evening. We are on our way to Coney Island, wondering where our baby went. And by that, I mean Marissa, as we talk about Only Murders in the Building tonight and their venture to Coney Island. Alexis, fellow resident Swiftie of Both Are the After Party, what are you drinking this evening? How are we feeling this evening?
We're fine. I have agua and tea and Coke.
Minimum 3 liquid requirement to do the show. Did we all get there? I have 4 water bottles around me that I can. I'm really saying, big plastic this evening. Sly, how many liquids do you have surrounding you this evening?
Just 2.
Just 2. Didn't meet the 3 requirement, but that's all right. I have enough to supplement for both of us. Marissa's here, but she's not listening because she's out Into the Woods. That's fascinating. A fascinating use of a phone during a Broadway show. What have we been enjoying this week? Well, Marissa goes and enjoys my favorite city in the world. Alexis won't go first, so I will. It was a week of trying to decompress, setting back up my beautiful webcam that I've missed so much over the past 3 months of shows. And trying to just get my life back in order. So I didn't watch much this week, but I did read some fan fiction that was far too fluffy for my preference. Next week, if I come back with a scorcher of a recommendation, it was a dark one because I need to go find something new to dig my teeth into. This one was far too happy with too many resolutions throughout. I needed at least 1 limb gone in order to feel fulfilled, and I got none. So that was my week. There's a lot I didn't enjoy this week. There's a lot of arguments and things happening on TikTok. We saw this huge HBO scandal and the gentrification of Discovery Channel and people making really odd assumptions about viewing habits. Canceling Batgirl was something very not on my bingo card for the week. So I'm also feeling a little feisty just from all the drama, and I'm sure that's going to come out throughout the show this evening. Sly, I want you to say loud and proud what you were enjoying this week. This might be a full screen Sly moment. Say it.
I, in the year of our Lord 2022, read a Harry Potter fan fiction, and regretted that choice a little bit. But yeah, that is something that happened. I've also been on the fluffy train lately. I'm still very deep into my Teen Wolf fanfiction hyperfixation. The tag of this week was Alive Hail Family, so that'll tell you how I'm doing mentally. Because I was like, give me everybody alive. I don't care if they're not alive in canon. I want the family feels.
Okay. I feel like we could all unpack a little bit from that. So before we do, Alexis, what were you enjoying this week?
I'm sorry. You asked me that and I had a complete blank. I was like, did I consume anything this week? There was a show on our a while back, we did a WandaVision celebration episode about different TV shows and movies that would be in our Westview. And I talked a lot about Sue Thomas, which was a show I loved growing up. And I found out this week that it, by some weird stroke of luck, has been moved to the Stars app. A little ironic, as it was showed like exclusively on the Christian movie channel when I was growing up, but it's now on Stars. And so I've been rewatching my way through it. It is fascinating, I think, how because it was not, when it first aired, it was not something you could get your hands on like after the fact. And so I haven't watched it in, I mean, like over a decade. And I definitely remember there being far more ASL in this show than exists. It is almost entirely spoken, which I think is an interesting choice with a lead deaf character. But it is a very interesting show. And the dog is still just as cute as he was 2 decades ago. So that's been fun.
There's nothing I love more than finding a piece of media that I think I remember vividly and then rewatching it and being like, what happened to that like line in my brain, that like neuron or whatever held that memory that made it so vividly incorrect.
I'm like, not a sign to be found. Lots of lip reading. But I'm like, 5 episodes in, not a sign in sight, like not one anywhere. So don't really know what was going on with that. But
I love that it left such an impression on you, though.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's fantastic. Are you both? This is a question for both of you. Are you on the side of TikTok where the guy does like plot by plot point analysis of Christian movies?
I have been sent
probably
a few
by
of
me.
the more
colorful ones.
The more colorful ones. Yeah.
I recommend everybody. I need to find this creator and plug him on my Instagram story or something. He truly is one of the bravest soldiers of the TikTok era. I salute this man and his ability to watch these outrageous movies and then provide the most incredible breakdowns with clips. Truly a treat. Truly a treat. Speaking of a treat, I actually have something positive to rant about this week, which took me a minute. But then I realized we're probably far enough away from Thor: Love and Thunder that we can finally talk about it in a spoiler sense. No? Do we feel good about spoiling Thor: Love and Thunder finally? How long has it been out for? 10 years? Feels like it, based on the discourse around it.
Wow.
I'm going to toss a banner up for the folks that are going to not want spoilers. Let's move on to our rant segment of the show, where we share a little bit about how we've been feeling about pop culture this week. I'm going to be ranting about that Thor: Love and Thunder post-credit scene that made me shriek, and how I am on the greatest prediction streak of my life with these new MCU character announcements, and how I think I'm actually a prophet of what's to come for the MCU. All that to be unpacked in less than 2 minutes. Sly, what are you ranting about?
I'm ranting about how I want to give somebody money and they won't let me.
Wow, is it me? I'll let you. No, it's not me. Alexis, what are you ranting about?
I put out a call for rants on my Instagram because I couldn't come up with any. And really nobody sent me anything, but we're going to go with it anyway and rant off of what people suggested that I rant about.
Okay, I love it. I feel like Marissa did this and it was very fascinating to see what people wanted her to.
Yeah, I feel like people liked Marissa and sent her lots of answers. And that is not what happened in this case. But we're just going to see what happens.
All right, that is a call to everyone that watches the show to go to Alexis's DMs and send rants for next week so we can get a really freaking chaotic rant from Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
We all ready to rant, besties? I'm going to get the party started again. Thor: Love and Thunder spoilers. If you don't want to hear them, come on back in a few minutes' time. Okay, let's do it. So, we have a character announcement. And it's a character announcement that I asked for in August of 2021. So, almost a full year later, another one in the bag for producer Liz Baby. Brett Goldstein is Hercules moving forward in the MCU. And I actually think that I know what's coming next for the MCU based on the stickers on my iPad cover. More to come in the next part. But Can we talk about what a great casting choice Brett is? Like, I am so thrilled for him.
All right. If you don't know this about me, I have been a Bandstand fan since day fucking one. Big fan, love the cast album. I have seen, they did a pro shot. I saw the pro shot in theaters twice. They released it twice. I saw the national tour when it came to Eugene. I love Bandstand. About once a month, I want to watch the pro shot. But
so one of my friends sent me a rant about Nick Silver. So this is going to take a second because I don't think anybody actually knows Nick Silver. But Nick Silver is a character in the Pacific Northwest Stories audio dramas. He is a mediocre white man from Canada who is somehow, by no explanation, the head of this news station.
So, Brett Goldstein, incredible casting choice. He's in Ted Lasso. He's a writer. He's a Muppets fan. What more could you want? As Bunky is very eloquently describing in the chat, he's here, he's there, he's every fucking where. He's Roy Kent. And he is indeed on the infamous iPad cover. Now, who is on the iPad cover and when were they placed? Let me tell you. Harry Styles was put on the iPad cover, nay, 2 months before it was announced that he was Eros in the MCU. So, that was prediction 1. Cue Andrew Garfield sound. Profit! I'm a prophet!
There is nowhere for me to legally buy a copy of the Bandstand Pro shot. They didn't release it. The only place it was on Playbill for a limited time, and I will buy I will buy 2 copies if it is available. If you make it physical, if you make it digital, I don't care. I will buy it. Please give me a place to do so.
So we were first introduced to Nick Silver in the Black Tapes podcast, and he is kind of running this news network and has some issues with his presumably lead reporter, Alex Regan, and her professionalism because she uses arguably subterfuge to get a interviewee to open up about something that he theoretically doesn't want to open up about.
So then Roy Kent himself was added to the iPad cover. Again, nay, 1 month before Thor: Love and Thunder dropped, before it was leaked that he was in the post-credit scene. So that was the second addition to all of this. Taylor Swift was added 1 month before Ms. Marvel started, where we canonized Taylor Swift in the MCU via the extra that wore the All Too Well scarf. So who else is on the iPad cover? Well, none other than David Rose and Alexis Rose from Schitt's Creek, giving their big "You David" moment.
Listen, I go to watch this movie once a month. I look for it every time. I cannot find it. Do I have a link to it somewhere? Maybe. Do I want to use that? No, I don't. I want to give you my money. I've been trying to give you my money for years. Why won't you accept it? Why won't you let me buy a copy of this thing? It's already recorded. It's out there in the universe. Just let me throw my money at you.
And so he kind of gives her like the third degree about it. And he's like, you need to be more professional, blah, 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 blah. But then when Nick Silver does his own show, which will go on for 9,000 seasons that no one will listen to because we really don't care if you're the magical runner in this maze. He will do tennis for 1 billion fucking years while all of my shows get canceled. And 3 episodes in, he will drink poison tea with a bunch of girls.
So David Rose and Alexis Rose, aka Annie Murphy and Dan Levy, who would they be in the MCU? Well, I'm here to tell you. I think David Rose is the perfect cast for another god alongside Hercules to just, like piss him off the whole time. But Annie Murphy, if she does not scream Eternals, ethereal god, I don't know what does. Cast Annie Murphy as the lead in Eternals 2, maybe like a new person incoming, a new like love interest for Arrows. I don't care. They both should be in the MCU. Your official prediction from the iPad, it's now canonized.
So my question is, why? Why is it not available anywhere? What's blocking that? My second question is, what do I need to do for this to become a reality? And my third question is, at this point, if you're not going to sell it anywhere, does anybody have a better quality version of the bootleg that you can share with me? Because mine's fine, but
So yeah, like 30 seconds in, he'll drink tea with random women that he just met, and he will record the entire thing. And I would like to know where his professionalism is at, since apparently strongly encouraging people to let you back in their office, even when they ended the interview, is worse than drinking spiked tea with a bunch of Manson girls in the woods, Nick Silver.
That was a strong end. It was like a very strong note to end on, Alexis. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, many thanks. Many thanks.
I have the Google Drive with the Pro Shot. The Google Drive with the Pro Shot does not have captions. And while, yes, I know everything that happens in the show, sometimes I want to remember what the phrase is specifically, okay?
Listen, I think as a community, we can come together and we can write captions for the show for you. If anyone wants to join the volunteer effort, message us on the show account. Maybe, perhaps, we can pull it together in time for Christmas. What do you say, Slive?
I mean, if you want to do that, go for it.
You pop us a Google Drive link that doesn't exist. Right.
Totally doesn't exist.
A hypothetical link, and perhaps a volunteer squad will caption the shit out of it for you. But that still doesn't defeat your point of give it to me. Right?
I will pay for it. If you make it available, I will pay for it. It's just not available anywhere.
I do love that it took you this long being on the show to like use the platform to fight for this. Like you were like, now is the time where I bring the bandstand agenda to Will Throw the After Party. I love it.
Hey, listen, whenever I do like a big cooking project, I put on bandstand, and I made food this week. So I put bandstand on, so it's fresh in the noggin.
My bandstand, if that's the criteria of big cooking moment, what do you put on, is Allie Plum. I can't listen to Allie Plum while I'm working because I go, oh, and then I listen and I'm like, oh my God, like I need to stop listening to Allie Plum. So I do it when I'm cooking or doing the dishes, and I'll listen to like 5 episodes in a row. Allie Plum, thank you for being a binge-worthy show. Alexis, do you have something specific you put on when you're like cooking or cleaning?
I listen to things. So sometimes that is that I listen to the Leverage commentaries a lot when I cook. Listen to John Rogers talk about that. This week I binged every podcast interview Oliver Stark has ever done. And that is all I listened to all week for everything.
I love it.
Just on a loop. So cooking included this week.
I love it. I love it. And just like that, we are going to Taylor Swift private jet fly our way to the next segment, which is something I did prepare probably Monday of this week to say, because I knew that someone wanted me to address it during the show. So there you go, besties. It's been said. I'm also going to upload something for Alexis. I'm going to get that organized here. But before we go into our conversation about Only Murders in the Building, I feel like there's some big tea to spill. And I kind of started the conversation accidentally on my TikTok stories last night. And a lot of creators reached out, both in the comments and in DMs, and said, listen, bestie, like, we feel you. This is like an actual systemic problem. And it's not just you feeling this way, which was very, very validating. MCU TikTok, what has happened over there, besties? It's a whole different world versus when we started the show a year ago. And it's not that, you know, fandoms change and grow and evolve. And it's not that. It's not that. Because we once lived in harmony on MCU TikTok, where the edit people and the people that like doing cosplay had their own side of the equation, and the critiquers had their own side of the equation. And we fought often, but we could still coexist in a way. And now that's not the case anymore. And it makes it so hard to make MCU-based content. So I wanted to open the floor to discussion, since, you know, we have more than 3 minutes and we can have multiple people talking at once, you know, an actual nuanced conversation that TikTok doesn't allow for, about what we're seeing and how we're feeling about it. Alexis, I know that you have decided to make a big move, which I fully stand behind. Do you want to tell the people what you're doing on TikTok these days?
Yeah. So there are a couple of factors here, right? One is that when I started my TikTok, I was on, started on MCU Talk, and I was not in like a good place. I was in a very bad place in my life, and I couldn't find anybody to talk with about the things that I wanted to talk about. And everybody just kind of said, like, go do a TikTok, like talk to strangers about it. And I had a really bumpy road in MCU world for a while. Apparently you're not allowed to say bad things about Joss Whedon on the internet. And then I met, Liz and Sly and Marissa, and there were still things I wanted to fix about the community, but I felt like it was in like a decent enough place. And I was really excited to talk about comics in the MCU and like have these discussions every week. And then it just like, instead of continuing to trend upward, it just got worse and worse and worse. And not only was it incredibly divisive, I could really see like MCU talk where women are humans and MCU talk where women are not humans really like exist. I could see those two branch off. But there was also this extreme pressure to have all the knowledge about everything all the time. And there was then no more room for discourse or discussion or debate, right? It was like, this is my version of the knowledge, and either that is right or wrong, and I must have all the knowledge to participate. And that just put me in this place where I just could not create. I wasn't interested in creating. I was being bombarded by people's questions all the time, which is fine. But it was a lot of pressure to be able to answer everybody's questions all the time about everything in a world where I then couldn't discuss any of those answers. So I decided to make an entirely new TikTok account that has nothing to do with the MCU, where I talk about all of the other things in my life. Because what I really loved about TikTok was the ability to build community.
Is that right?
And yes, that's right. And there was I no longer felt that there was a place to build that. Well, I no longer felt that I had the tools to build a healthy MCU community. So I went elsewhere to build it. So you can find me there talking about the other pop culture I watch and home decor and my closet and my neurospiciness. But it just wasn't something that I could handle anymore. And I will make the maybe controversial comment that I do think I squeaked out just at the right time, because then things really seemed to...
I don't know if this is how you see it, but I feel like the very drastic shift in, if you don't know everything, your opinion's not valid, and people demanding educational labor from you was like parallel to one another, right? It was like, oh, we don't actually want to hear your take on it. We just want you to educate us so we can go fight in other people's comments.
And that I felt, and I don't think I'm wrong in this, I felt that the standard of knowledge, like the expectation of the amount of knowledge that I would have and the amount of sources I would have and what my videos would look like, was much higher than it was for some white male creators. And honestly, male creators in general. I felt that it was a much higher for me to meet that threshold of what people would accept than it was on the other side. And that was really difficult.
And I'm going to be vague, but if you feel like going into detail with this, please feel free. We saw people try and offer you platform only to degrade you on it. Like multiple times that happened, and people bringing you in only to push you right back out. And it was kind of disgusting to watch. And that didn't just happen to you. It happened to like many women in MCU TikTok kind of simultaneously. And I think it also, this is not my place to speak on this, but I think it also created this like misogynistic black and white divide where it was like also then not inclusive to other people in the gender spectrum and other people that wanted to like have one foot in and one foot out, or other people that like really just wanted to talk about Bucky Barnes or really wanted to talk about this one thing. It became all or nothing in every sense of the word. And the only people that thrived in that are the people that benefit from the patriarchy and benefit from like the misogyny embedded in early MCU stages, which we unpack regularly on this show.
Yeah.
Sly, I know you have an interesting take on this because you were never like, you were fully in MCU TikTok, but like did not create as much as Alexis and I did, like in that stage in time. So how do you see all of this?
I was like a consumer of MCU TikTok at the very base level because a lot of the big people either don't caption, right? Or have made comments, especially around Hawkeye, that turned me off of their content very quickly. Like they said very uninformed things about Hawkeye, and I go, you lost your credibility for me. So I haven't really engaged a lot with MCU TikTok outside of friends, right? And so anymore, all I see is the worst of the worst because all I see is our friends being like, hey, this really shitty video was made about me or towards me, help. And so that's all the MCU TikTok I've been interacting with. So I think I'm super jaded on it, and I just I haven't seen an MCU video that's not made by one of our friends in months, probably.
I especially see this with people that I'm like perhaps mutuals with, right? Like I don't have conversations with them like this every week, but like I would see their edits, right? And I would see their commentary and their cosplay and their like filter game videos every day, who now make completely different content. And I'm like, oh, like, do you feel this way too? Like what happened to you? And look at the cat on Alexis's shoulder. This is truly a thrill. Is that a cat? That's a cat. I was like, what is happening to Alexis?
Her tail. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. But I just want to say, like, I think that there's something healthy in sub communities. And I think it's healthy to be able to say, like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, you don't have to be on MCU TikTok to still go spend $20 on the cup and popcorn set when you go to the theater. Like, you can still go to premiere night and, like, be the biggest Marvel fan in the room and, like, send 12 minutes of messages back to your friends, voice memos, video messages with captions, like, describing how you felt about it, and be as valid as the people that get paid to do commentary or make content around all of this, right? Mm-hmm. And I love our sub community of MCU TikTok that gathers here every week to break down the shows together and talk about the comic references and talk about the premieres, because we're a place where you can come in with whatever context you have, need it be no comics or everything about the comics, and still have a good time, right? And have friends and be accepted. I think that's like a little bit of a lesson that more of the current MCU TikTok could take. Like, listen, if the people that are making MCU TikTok toxic want to come hang out with us, I would love to see them here. Come have a conversation. We're here for 2 hours talking about this content, not like a snappy 3 minutes. We would love to hear you out. We would love to have conversation. And to everyone that is watching that is an MCU creator, like, kudos to you for sticking it out and trying to make the space better, because it does take people fighting on the inside as much as creating on the outside. It's like a multi-faceted endgame style portal opening battle to make things a little bit better, right? Yeah. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to something a little bit lighter? Did we spill all the tea there is to spill about MCU TikTok?
The only other thing I'll say is I think on TikTok in general, especially when a lot of the big now MCU creators started, there was a real pressure to niche down and 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 niche down, right? Like, I even felt that, right? Like, it's like comics wasn't enough of a niche. Like, you know, the MCU wasn't enough of a niche. Yep. So we went to comics and that wasn't enough. So like I went to specific comics and that wasn't enough. So whatever, right? And I think there are a lot of people who have gotten caught up in that niching down to where they get to a niche that, like, they get to a place that we cannot go, right? Like, you've niched down so far, you're in this tiny pocket of toxicity that I can't follow you to, right? And I do think that's part of the problem as well. And I think that is a bigger TikTok issue. And then the last thing I will say, because I lied and said that I was saying the last thing, is that especially recently, MCU TikTok to me has been this place where, how do I want to put this? For some reason, male saviorism seems to be reigning real hard, especially lately. And I think it's so interesting because I think there are a lot of conversations when different groups come into play where we decide to take the role of amplifying voices rather than speak over them, right? Like I'm gonna take a minute to amplify these voices instead of trying to commentate on how I think this certain subsect of a community feels, right? And I feel that MCU talk never got that memo with women. And it became, I will speak over women's voices.
I'll speak over any voice that's not a man's,
yes,
right?
To talk about, like, thank you. Any voice that's not a man, I will speak over them very loudly and to tell you what I have decided that they want you to hear rather than just amplifying those voices. And I think with a lot of the drama and the scandal lately, if people would have just taken a second to say, instead of speaking, I'm going to find someone that's speaking about this and amplify their voice, that we wouldn't be where we're at with some of the current scandals.
It's very well said. Very well said. Yep. Big ol' yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sly, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just if I'm amplifying other people's voices, then you won't see my face. And so they will never do that because it's all about their face being the one that the words come out of. So
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I'm trying not to scream because that's like so well said, right?
There's so many times I say stuff and I'm like, I should have just written that down and handed it to Sly and let Sly say it, because Sly can like put it in like 3 sentences where I'm just like,
no, it's all so good. Like both of you are so eloquent, and it's just moments like this. Like I don't know if anybody who's watching right now feels this way, but like just to be in company like this and to hear a conversation like this where it's not accusatory in the sense of a person. It's not accusatory in the sense of like degrading what someone has built for themselves, but it is calling out like problematic structures and like problematic behavior that many people are taking on to make things feel unsafe and not cool and discouraging. Like I feel like we often harbor these feelings, especially as creators. Like I have to adjust, I have to figure it out, I have to find a way of doing it that like makes it work, and I'm going to let people down if I don't show up in the way they expect me to show up. And sometimes when you just breathe out and just say like, no, this is what's happening and how I feel about it, you know, it leads to a lot of good. Like I feel even better going into our She-Hulk episodes knowing that like we're all on the same page about, you know, there are things happening in a bigger community that we're not comfortable with, so we'll take it here and have a conversation here about it instead. And I hope that, you know, people watching agree. Some compliments coming in from JJ. Shout out Thirsty Thursdays with Sly on TikTok Live. All of y'all are so eloquent and thoughtful speakers. Thankful for the community y'all have created. And we're thankful for all of you being a part of the community too. And our community that's here every week, whether you're here for your first episode or you're here for the 21st episode this year. I counted yesterday. We've done 21 episodes in 2022, which is super impressive and exciting. We have a treat for you this evening. Before we transition into Only Murders in the Building, we have come up with quite a little game to play that's really going to test your knowledge of us. This is an interactive game that we need you in the comments for. And it's going to kind of test our knowledge of each other. Sly, do you want to explain the game?
So the idea was we often are in each other's TikTok DMs, sending videos back and forth. And so we thought, why not each of us take a couple videos we've received from our co-hosts and share them. And this is a group effort. We're all going to try to guess who sent the video and who received the video.
And we're including Marissa in this as well. So your 4 options are Liz, Sly, Alexis, and Marissa. 1 person sent the video, 1 person received the video. We have quite a little stack here. Sly, do you want to pick the first one?
I have one labeled that needs to be our last one.
Okay.
But
okay.
other than that, go whatever you
Okay,
want.
I will play the first one because there's also some viewers that I think are really going to enjoy this. It's a little bit of a curveball, but I think you'll all appreciate it. Are we ready?
Hold on, when is your party? Oh, no. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I cannot attend. No. I cannot attend. I cannot attend. No, I'm working on my thesis right now. Rebecca, I've told you a million times that I'm working on my thesis, but you seem to be forgetting because a lot of people here are not interested in academia. Right, no, it's the culmination of my entire career in academia. It's incredibly important. I have been working tirelessly and vigorously on my thesis, and this is just for the whole table. Here, ladies, if you invite me to anything within the next however long theses take, I will have to politely decline the invitation. I'm so sorry, I cannot attend your party. No, count me out. Yes, thank you, because of my thesis, yes. So my thesis is about how horses feel stronger emotion than humans do, and the reason that humans live in a broken society is because we don't live the lives that horses do. Yes, it's been carefully studied. That is why I made it my thesis. Yes, thank you for asking, though not a lot of people ask what my thesis is about.
So who do we think sent and received that lovely, lovely TikTok? Alexis to Liz, okay. Liz to Alexis, Sly to Alexis.
Here's the thing, we're all forgetting we had a person who legitimately was talking about their thesis nonstop, who
That's
may or may not be on the screen right now.
Sly to Alexis. Well, okay, to be fair, Alexis talks about academia all the time. And it feels like Alexis writes a thesis every day. So I feel like it's very on brand. Alexis, do you have a take on this?
See, the thing is, I've seen this video, but I can't remember if I have just seen it or if one of you sent it to me. I thought in my head, Liz sent it to me. But I don't know that that is true. I will say I am already talking about research I'm doing nonstop, and I don't technically start office hours until the 15th of August.
I will also say I know I have received that video and that I did not submit it for this game.
Oh no. Okay, so I'm just gonna own it. I sent it. I thought I just sent it to Marissa, but it's very probable I sent it to everybody. I think I might have sent it to everybody and just forgot because I saw it and specifically was like, this is Marissa. This is exactly what. Well, I think if we do the show, I know I have to write this for my thesis.
Yeah.
That was a very bad Marissa impression. She's not quite that dramatic, but it was constant in trying to schedule the show when Marissa was thesis writing. Well, let me just see what my thesis schedule is like, and then I might have to leave early to just go work on my thesis. That was again a horrible Marissa impression, but I might have sent it to all of you. I think I also sent it to Mac.
I have a terrible habit of watching videos like from Liz, for example, and then sending them to Sly. So it is also possible.
Like a little chain reaction going on.
It's also possible that because if I feel like there's something I need Sly to know that I can't communicate, I'm just like, oh, here's a video about it, right? So like, I know I'm being obnoxious about my research. Here's a video is totally a thing that I would do and then forget that I did.
It's so funny. I love it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Sly, do you want to pick the next one from the list?
Sure. Oh, some of these are like, let's go this one.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It must have been you two. I don't think I've ever seen that. And I don't think that Marissa would find that funny. So it has to be you two. But who sent it to
So
who?
yeah, who sent it and who received it, do you think?
Sylvan says Marissa to Liz. Claw's saying Sly to Liz. If Sly sends it to me, I'm going to be flabbergasted because a lot of people send me videos, but when Sly sends me a video, they always are like way too deep cut. Like Sly roasts me in our TikTok DMs, and there was one that I really wanted to. No, I love it. I'm always looking forward to like, hey, what the fuck is Sly watching that like reminded them of me? There was one I wanted to play this week, but we're not going to. That was like a little too close to home, so you can DM it. You can DM me on Instagram after the show, and I'll send you one of the best ones Sly's ever DM'd me. Alexis to Sly.
See, I feel like I sent it to someone, but I can't remember who I sent it to.
I'm gonna say Alexis sent it to Sly.
Alexis to Sly.
Yes!
Good teamwork.
Hold on. Let me see. It was like January of this year.
Wow. You really like went all the way back. I respect
I
it.
went to the top of our message.
So I was like, I'm gonna like pull things out of the depth of the internet. I love it. Oh, that's funny. Okay, next one. Let's go. I know exactly what happened here. I know exactly what happened here. And I'm going to just keep my mouth shut because I know exactly what happened here. Let's see what the comments say. Okay, the comments are saying, NEDS, Alexis to Sly, Liz to Marissa, Marissa to Alexis, Alexis to Sly, Marissa to Alexis, I have no doubts.
Ooh.
The comments are making me second guess this because I know for a fact that Alexis sent this to me, but Alexis sent it to me after Alexis sent it to Sly because I received it via text message. I received it with this is what we're talking about when we talk about 911 context. So there's no way that I was the first to receive that.
I think I fundamentally misunderstood this game. All of my picks are things y'all have sent to me.
We haven't gotten to the second round.
There's
more
two
videos
rounds.
I've uploaded multiple videos for this game.
And I am looking at what is uploaded and realizing that I chose 3 videos, so we're just gonna have to go with it.
I don't know if anyone fully understood or misunderstood the game. I think the game is exactly as it should be.
Okay, so here's what I think happened, okay? There was a version of that video, like the video that they are stitching, that I sent to everyone. But their reaction to that video was sent to me by you, Liz. And this is when I said I had a storytime card.
Plot twist.
And I am playing my storytime card because this account, like the account of the man who originally posted the video, right, is like a whole thing to me. Because when he starts this account, he is basically vibing around being like a gay 30-year-old millennial in New York, right? And he takes a video of these firefighters, presumably from like across the street at the Starbucks where he's drinking his like iced latte. And then it blows up and people start stalking these firefighters. He is now like met 2 of them. The one in the glass is unfortunately married. He put please on TikTok for people to stop stalking these poor men. But if you scroll back through his videos, he is also like conversationally fluent, if that is a phrase, in ASL and is besties with Niall DeMarco. And that was not on my bingo card when I started.
Wow.
Dude that made New York firefighters famous on TikTok. So there you go.
Incredible. I'm shook, but I was right about how it was sent with context. And then, so my story is a bit twisted. The original video was something Alexis sent to everybody, and then I sent you that reaction video. Shocking. Absolutely shocking to me. All right.
That was also the reason I needed to know the song, and you took it as I was having a Harry Styles moment, but really I was trying to figure out what song was playing in the background.
That's so funny. I love it. So that explains the tweet we put out right before the show. All right. Here is the next one.
Here's to the kitties who meow. Everyone say, aww. Lounging all around and just sleeping about. Cute from head to paw. Lay in the sun, then do some zoomies, even if they're fat. And they'll just meow when they are hungry for another snack. And they deserve another snack. I'll drink to cats.
Okay. That was not the video I thought I clicked on. So I was jarred when it was something else. Okay. The comments are saying Marissa to Alexis, Marissa to Alexis, Marissa to Liz, Marissa to Alexis. So big Marissa energy happening here. Is it because of the Broadway tune? Is that? Yep. Okay. I'll drink to Alpine. Yeah, let's do a little.
I think it could very well be a plot twist where this is something Alexis sent to Liz. Because I know I don't think I've gotten it. But Alexis will often send me weird cat videos. And I'm just like, all right.
So okay. You're the one that gets them. Okay. I'm team Marissa. I think Marissa sent this to Alexis. I don't think I've seen that. Alexis?
Marissa sent it to me. And at the time, I'm still not sure. I don't think when she sent it that Marissa knew that putting it together is my bandstand, right? I was able to buy the pro shot that exists, but
too soon for that, Alexis.
The cast version with John Barrowman and Carol Burnett and Ruthie Hinchell is one of my favorites of all time, and that song, of course, is included in putting it together because it's like a medley. But yes, that was to me.
5 whole Alpines coming in from the chat for that one. Thank you, everyone, for using the correct rating system. I also saw tacos earlier in the chat. Again, Thank you for using the correct systems for the chat here on the show. I'm looking at the time. We can sneak a few more in here. Here is our next one.
So I saw a girl do a boyfriend haul on here, and I thought it'd be really fun to do a husband haul. So this one is mine. It is the original. I found it in a dive bar, which really goes to show you that you can find really nice gems in some of these discounted places. You just gotta weed through some of the junk. It is the white model, and it was made in... Yeah, it was made in Mexico. It has multiple language settings, so I can switch it from English to Spanish, which is really convenient, especially when traveling. It is an introvert, so it's not very portable. The battery life does run low, and sometimes I'll need to leave it at home plugged in and charging, but that's okay with me because I don't really need to take it everywhere I go. And I did find it used, so you can start to see that there's some wear and tear with some of these whites, but kind of like a leather jacket, the more you wear it, the better it is, and I wear it out a lot. So I love my selection. Thanks for viewing my husband haul.
Okay. Immediate slide to Marissa. Slide to Alexis.
I feel like I remember seeing that video.
Yeah.
So there's a very real chance that I sent it to Alexis. But I had no idea.
We got Alexis to Liz. Oh, that video is remarkable. Remarkable, truly. I can confirm that Bunky is correct. I received that video earlier today from Alexis and screamed so loudly when I watched it for the first time, particularly when the line was said that it was the introvert model that had to stay home to charge. I was like, oh my God. Felt. Oh, I do have a terrible poker face. It's true. I'm doing very badly at this game. Okay. Do we have time for a few more? Sly, do you want to pick the next one?
Here's the thing. I can't tell by the little thumbnails which ones we've already done.
I'm going to move to the bottom, the ones that we've definitely done here. This one. Oh my God, the Here's to the Kitties song. I've never seen that before in my life, you guys. That was like truly, truly a treat. We've done this one. Okay. I'm going to put the play last one at the bottom of the ones we have not played yet.
Let's go with.
Does that make sense?
Discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of a weekend. We let the story begin. We're going out on our first date. And you and me are thrilled. So all you can be like get in a taxi, kiss in the backseat, tell the driver make the radio play. And I'm singing like, girl, you know I want you now. Your life was handmade for somebody like me. I'm not I may be crazy, come on, you say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that.
I am worried about a copyright claim with the song playing, so we shall leave it there as we hit the 30-second mark. I feel like this was sent with a fanfic connotation or some kind of between you two, because Alexis is doing salsa classes, and I feel like you sent this to each other and you were like, inner joke for 911 Lone Star that no one understands but us. Haha, how funny. Okay, very wrong.
Who do you think sent it, though? Is my question.
Sly sent it to Alexis.
I did absolutely send this to Alexis because it was right after I read the fucking timeless ballroom fic. I see this video on my For You page.
Appropriately titled, "It takes 2 to tango, but 3 to swing."
I knew it! That's exactly where my mind went. I knew it!
But I will have you know, it was a timeless fanfic. It was a fanfic for a show Sly has never seen, featuring MCU's own sweater salesman, Thor as Garcia Flynn. So I will say, even though this was pre-Alexis Goes to the Salsa Club Weekly, Sly did send me another video today.
I did.
It resulted in me being like, oh God, I've got to send you video next time I go salsa. So
that one truly took my breath away.
like months ago. That was from a long time ago.
But I need you to know that immediately when I saw it with salsa, my mind was like, I know, I remember. Yep. Oh, what a treat. What a treat. And the chat knows exactly the reference that's being made to the fic. Great.
So good.
DM Sly and Alexis on Instagram after the show if you need the link, if you want to read it. Okay, we have time for one more, so why don't we play the last one?
I discovered a series of games that are clearly a rip-off of Nancy Drew games, except you play as a descendant of Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth trying to solve a mystery so naturally I'm losing my mind.
All right. This one requires context. So when I was going through
Does
my
it?
DMs, I was specifically looking for videos that you wouldn't think came from the person they came from. And I started with Liz, and I went through my Liz DMs, and I downloaded this video. All right? So I received this from Liz. Hold on. Let me find the receipt.
I love that you came with receipts.
I came with receipts. Okay, so here you see Liz sending me that video. What's that, like May 3rd, right?
That was
okay.
the day of the flood. I flooded at midnight that night. That was a pre-flood video. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Okay, so I saw that. I downloaded it. I was like, oh, that's so funny, because when people think games, they'll think me, and when they think like Nancy Drew, they'll think Alexis, right? Ha ha. Then I went through my DMs from Alexis, and as I was scrolling, I found the same exact video from April 30th from Alexis to me.
I was like, I definitely sent you that video.
So the plot twist was you both sent it to me independently, days apart.
Show-stopping, truly. Now, I have another layer to add to this. I absolutely also sent it to Alexis. Fact. I know I did. Probably in the same moment as I sent it to you. I know for sure I sent it to Alexis because I saw it and I was like, why would this be on my For You page? And I had two thoughts, Sly and Alexis. And you know who did not receive that video? Marissa.
Oh.
I was like, Marissa does not.
Who
need
knows?
this.
I may have sent it to Marissa. We never know.
We'll never know unless
never
we
know.
go back to May 3rd in our TikTok DMs. Oh,
Also, I just want to play a brief clip of the last one I had from Liz because it was so unhinged.
I sent
New
this.
York Law and Order cops, old cop car. New York law, a guy in handcuffs, shoved in cop car in jail, starring Jerry Orbach.
You get the vibe.
What's hilarious about that is Liz also sent it to me, and it was in my short list for ones I was going to use on the show tonight.
I get things on my For You page that I know. It's like sometimes you get videos that your friends have liked, right? Or like have sent you. And this fucker of a video came up and I was like, this is not of my algorithm. This is a visiting piece from you two.
Not me. I don't watch Law and Order regularly.
Regularly. Keyword.
Listen, I have never seen an episode of Law and Order, but I do follow two cats that recap Law and Order. So it may be my fault.
That would do it. There's cats that recap Law and Order.
Yes, the Veronica and the baby Boo. They talk about lots of stuff, but they have an ongoing series where they recap Law and Order. And they actually
Incredible.
propose it, like the baby Boo says, if she ever got gold in the Olympics, that would be her national anthem. Would be the. It's fine.
She is of Law and Order Nation. Wow.
Yeah.
That's truly incredible. That's truly inspired work. Well, you've now all gotten a glimpse into the DMs of the group chat once again. Perhaps next week we'll return with a text sent in the group chat segment, and maybe we'll rotate between exposing our texts and our videos. The nerves on both of your faces when I said that. Wow. If you ever
Every
love
time I-
text for the group chat. It's
every time
my
I
favorite
send
thing
it
we
to-
do.
Every time I send a text now, I'm like, shit, that's going to end up on a show.
JJ, I don't get your TikTok DMs. I don't get your TikTok DMs. I don't get your TikTok DMs. If you have a TikTok to send it to me on Instagram, because I do not get your TikTok DMs.
As I was trying to figure out which ones I was going to use on the show, I went back through, ones that Sly had sent me. And there's this great span of 2 days where Sly and JJ sent me all of the identical videos.
What I had saved.
Everyone was the same. And the one that came up was a picture of Eddie from my least favorite 911 episode of all time, where they try to make schoolwork sexy. And it's somebody that's like, what fruit do you think that is? Nope, wrong answer. It's a pomegranate. Anyway.
I'm looking at the group chat to see if there's any quick texts that we can throw out there for people to guess, and then we can reveal the answer.
Oh, I think I screenshotted one recently. Let me see.
Lord. We send a lot of texts in the group chat. Is there one? Hello, everyone on vacation watching. Thank you for tuning in. I see you, Leo P, in the chat.
It also doesn't help now that we have approximately 72 group chats at all times.
True. It's true. Okay. Someone texted a photo of a sunset, and someone responded saying it looked like Vulcan space. So if y'all want to take a stab at who sent the sunset and who sent that response, you let us know. Someone also said today that they should have joined the military, if you want to guess who said that. And then we'll tell you the context in which that text was sent. But before we do that, let's transition. Again, Taylor Swift private jet playing our way over to a new theme. Hour 2, Only Murders in the Building, Season 2. If you're not watching and you don't want spoilers, this is your spoiler warning. I don't have a bell, so I'll ASMR some ice shaking from my cup. That's your bell to go away and don't hear the spoilers for the next hour. Oh my God, Cece, it's 3 a.m. and you're with us. I'm so happy you're here. But maybe go to sleep if you need to sleep. But if you don't want to sleep, hey, welcome to the after party. Let's start with a little bit of a rowdy recap, shall we? This is the part of the show where we will tell you what happened on the latest episode of Only Murders in the Building. And guess who didn't take notes while watching the episode this week? This girl. So I literally have no memory of what happened, but I'll try my best to fill y'all in. Shall we go in 30-second intervals?
Here's the thing. Usually I take informative notes to help remind myself. And this week they were all vibes. So I have no idea the context for most of these.
Right.
And usually I cheat off of Sly's notes, but I can't because not only were my notes vibes and Sly's were vibes, but Sly and I have a lot of the same notes. So it will be not at all helpful.
Great. What I'm hearing is Marissa come back. But with that said, let's talk about what happened this week. So Mabel wakes up in Theo's apartment and she hits him over the head with a lamp. She thinks she's been abducted or something when really he's just trying to help. And she's wearing this cute little blue outfit. But then she gets really aggressive about not understanding ASL and blaming it on him, which I felt was a very weird take. But I'll pause on that for a second. That was a whole few minutes of the show. And eventually he starts writing back and forth what happened to her off the train. But he does this really cool it's being written and then the scenes playing out. It was interesting.
All right. There was a shot of Gut Buzz Zero that what's his face was drinking. That was a choice. We meet Williams's baby. Very exciting, fun times. They're really going hard on the parenting theme this season. Then they go to Coney Island because the dude dropped his badge or whatever, and chaos ensues. We love a whack-a-mole moment, and then we get more dad backstory.
Then we get backstory. We get people trying to break out of Steve Martin's bathroom to steal the knife and hide the knife because they don't want the nice detective to find the knife. We find out that baby Mabel really liked the X-Files. She hides in a locker to get away from Glitter Hoodie Man. And then Theo drives her back to where they came from.
And then the end of the episode, let's miss a lot of details. I'm gonna go to the end of the episode and then we can like backtrack. We find out that whoever is doing all of this has a photo of Charles's niece, daughter, ex, whoever she is, the young girl, and that's weird. And then the whole city loses power. And it's like, it's a blackout in New York City, and that's the end of the episode. But there's a lot of other shit that happens, including in Coney Island, like Mabel has this whole like philosophical moment about like her mind and her memory.
And then Thea's like, I didn't get any of that.
It's true. I think we've done it.
I think we've done it. We're way over time. It's fine.
Yeah. Close enough.
Close enough. So it was okay. So Leah's saying this episode was easily my favorite of the entire show. It was certainly
that's a take.
I really liked particular aspects of this episode. Like I feel like we've been taking the layers off the onion of Mabel all season, right? And it was really nice to just see like a full character exposition. I don't know if that's the right phrasing for what I'm trying to say. I don't think it is, but like a full like Mabel moment where like she finally became fully dimensional to me, because a lot of the time she's written as this like young millennial whatever offlandish type, and it was nice to kind of like see the backstory with her dad and see her process and want to change and have a character change after like almost 2 full seasons of episodes. I feel like it was kind of overdue. So that was an aspect I really enjoyed. But I immediately, before we even open the suspect board, I know this isn't in the notes, but Sly, I need to ask you, what did you think of this episode?
Can we save that for after our toasts and our WTFs?
Yes, absolutely. So let's move the suspect board and just move straight to our toast. How about that? Shall we toast? Okay. All right. I would like to toast.
We're going to get some ASMR here.
Oh my god. My ice is melting. It used to be really satisfying. Alexis, what are we toasting with? We can do like a corner toast again if I... What? Does the cup have words?
The cup has words, but I don't like the picture. So there was last week there was a bit of a kerfuffle over a cup that Marissa had, and it made me think of a cup that I used to have that a coworker from an old job gave me, and I searched high and low for it, and I couldn't find it, so I had to like recreate it on my cup, but. Anyway, so it was a picture of a traffic light, and it said red light, green light, and it had cool little traffic bubbles, and then it had a little bell in the bottom with like a ding ding. And yeah, I really wanted that cup to be on air, so it's just drawn on my cup.
I love it. Cheers in the corner. Cheers to everyone watching. You can hold your cup up and cheers with us. You've got a nice fresh, how do you say it? LaCroix? LaCroix? Is that how you say it?
LaCroix is the actual pronunciation.
I don't know. I don't drink them.
But it's French, and if you said it in French, it would be more along the lines of LaCroix.
Okay.
So
my French Canadian that I do not have just coming out there. I love that for me.
Exactly.
I am toasting, as Sly said, to Coney Island. I'm sitting on a bench in Coney Island wondering where'd my baby go. It's giving. Sly, if you would like to show your sweater here, now is a great moment to do so. Oh yeah, Coney Island Bucky's version. Probably my favorite piece from the merch line, which I don't actually have, but I can order it for myself at some point. I'm just a little bit lazy. It was nice to see us go back to Bucky Barnes' roots. It was nice to see us go back to one of the best Taylor Swift songs, the most underrated Taylor Swift songs of all time. Felt very like fandoms colliding moment for me, so that's what I'm cheersing to. Alexis?
I am toasting to familial X-Files viewing and accurate Halloween costuming, because although that suit was a nightmare, baby Mabel did have Scully's Catholic cross, and that was really important to me.
I love that. I wish my cup wasn't disappearing into the corner. It's like it really doesn't want Thor to have a moment.
Your background's eating it.
I guess so. But there's nowhere I can put it. If I move my whole body. Okay, I've done it. Oh, wait. Cheers now while I'm still here.
Liz is like, if I toast with my whole self.
Put my whole physicality into it. Sly, what are you toasting to?
I am toasting to the one and only Joey Caverly, making it absolutely fucking work when he's given absolutely nothing to work with.
Yep. He's, I want to use this word very intentionally. I find him a beautiful actor. Like, he gives a beautiful performance to watch. There's a lot of people that I really enjoy that I don't think give like beautiful performances. Andrew Garfield's another person I think gives a beautiful performance when you watch him. It's like watching like an art display live. And he's someone that I feel like when I watch him, I'm like, you're stunning at what you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, with that lovely thought, our WTF moments of the week. Mine, I am going to drink when I say this. Mabel wakes up, sees her stunning, obviously expensive white designer coat splattered in blood, and doesn't do anything to get the blood stains out, doesn't immediately seek vinegar or like water or anything. I was very upset. That would have, I wouldn't have wanted to save the blood for like DNA capturing, nothing. I would have been like, get this off my beautiful white coat. And then also the casting of Veronica's dad from Riverdale, I couldn't unthink that the whole episode. So with all the craziness happening in Riverdale right now, I now feel like Only Murders in the Building is like of the same universe because of that. And I'll leave it there. Sly?
My WTF moment was Mabel's dad got cancer and they straight up lied to her about him like going out of town, and like this is like a whole ass child with like critical thinking skills, and you're just gonna straight up lie about a terminal diagnosis. What? That was a choice.
I don't know what America's like, but I do feel like in Canada, like guidance counselors get involved, or like supports get involved, or someone says something to say like, hey,
Grief counseling for
thank you.
sure.
Yeah.
In fact, it was so odd that I assumed he was a criminal instead. Like, my assumption was like, oh, okay, this is why they have like a negative relationship. Like, he is doing crime. And then they were like, oh no, we just lied to her continually for a while because he had cancer. I don't understand.
Yep. Do not understand. Alexis, what was your moment of the week?
That the assumption was made that Mabel may in fact shop at Forever 21. Not a bitch that owns that coat. I'm
with you on that.
That was such a weird choice to me. I was like, maybe 10 years prior, like maybe, high school Mabel shopped at the Forever 21, but like not my Mabel Mora.
All I'm gonna say is in that flashback to when like everyone was still alive, when like she was a youth, she was not wearing Forever 21. Nope.
It was a bizarre choice for me. Like, even for an old white man, that was a bizarre choice.
Yep. Indeed. Fully with you on that. So, with that said, I think it's time to open the suspect board. I shall share my screen. One moment, please. Here we are. So, every week we open the suspect board and we name a suspect of the week. Everyone say, ooh, in the chat. Throw some tacos in the chat. This is a big moment. Ooh, thank you for the soundboard, Alexis. I appreciate that. That was exactly what I wanted. So we've, had some big suspects over the past few weeks, including Clint Barton on a 2-week streak of being the suspect of the week. We've had Timothy Chalamet. We've had Jeremy Lin. And we've had an MMA fighter in a suit, who I forget the name of. This week, the episode was all about Mabel proving her innocence. But if there's one thing we know on this show, it's that we are all fully in agreement that Selena Gomez is Marissa. And Marissa is currently in New York and tweeted publicly that she was going to go sniff out the murders herself. So our suspect of the week is none other than Missa Bobissa. Dun, dun, dun. I think it's very sus that on the week we're talking about clearing Mabel's innocence, Marissa's not here to defend herself. Alexis, what do you think about this?
Oh, 100%.
You've really been building the case for Marissa and Selena Gomez being the same person for almost a year.
Yeah, in fact, there was conversation in the group chat this week about the time Marissa was spending in Italy in the
Chris
water.
Evans.
So, yeah.
With not Chris Evans.
It wasn't what we
Not
thought it
Chris-
might be.
But Marissa was the one who corrected that. Marissa was the one that was like, that is not Chris Evans. And how else would she know?
Exactly. Another piece of evidence I'd like to throw out there is I jokingly, half jokingly, I'm always serious when I ask you guys to come visit me in Canada, but I did say that to Marissa yesterday. And I texted her today and was like, are you serious? Like, would you want to come to Canada? And she was like, I was only 49% kidding. Is she trying to flee? Is she trying to come to Canada and, buy some time to figure out her next move?
With her wife, who
I
would
can
not have
see
to
it.
testify against her.
I don't know if that works in Canada law.
Does that work in Canada law?
think it
Liz,
does.
tell
I
me
think
about
it does.
Canadian law. Okay.
I think it does. I think, you're not allowed to testify against your spouse here.
You cannot be obligated. You can testify against your
cannot be
spouse,
forced.
but you can not
Thank
be
you.
asked to testify.
As Sly and I have discussed in the group chat a couple
No
times.
one DM her. She needs to
Spousal
watch
privilege.
She needs to watch the replay of the show herself and hear this, okay? Because we will hear from her when she comes and stumbles upon this. I'm very appreciative of JJ throwing in the very important point. Never trust a musical theater person in New York.
So true, bestie.
She's going to see Kate Bishop's dad tonight. That's sus. Alexis, I cut you off. I apologize.
I was not saying anything important.
JJ has questions on Canadian medical experiences. Well, certainly this is the segment of the show for that. Toss them in the chat. Let's see what we can do. Sly, is there any damning evidence against Marissa that you would like to add to the board?
I just, if you're seeing somebody who is canonically unalived in theory in the MCU, there's some sketchy things going on there, right? So how did she get there? What'd she do? Why this week? There's a lot of fingers being pointed here. And I think all of them hold water.
Yep, absolutely. So, Marissa, you're going to have to come clear your name on next week's after party. But in the very unlikely scenario where Marissa did not do it, who do we think may have done it based on the events of this week? Do we have any new leads? Do we have any new theories? Because I certainly have a theory.
Yeah, what is it?
Take the floor, friend.
I wanted to be dramatic for a moment. I wanted to let that hang in the air. Sometimes
Love a pregnant pause.
I need everyone to understand that I am not the true crime junkie of the group, okay? I consume zero murder mysteries. I read fan fiction about the same coupling because I already know all the ways the plot can twist. This is not my genre, right? So I'm very proud of this theory.
On that note, I've been working on a little project behind the scenes, and so many of the responses I have gotten are like anything but true crime or no true crime or anything along those veins. And to those people, I see you and I am with you.
Alexis really holds down the fort for true crime on We'll Do the After Party.
I really don't, but like that's fine. Continue. Some other day, I will have my day in court and I will defend my position.
You might end up on the board if you're not careful, bestie.
Yeah.
So I have a theory that there's like multiple things that have happened that are all being pinned on one person, right? I think that Charles' son is involved in all of this somehow. I think he did something, and I think that the what's it called? The DNA testing. Like we find out in episode 1, the DNA test that he knows that he's not his father's son and that he's Greek, is like the real crux of events here. I think that he accidentally stabbed Bunny thinking it was somebody else and ran out of there. And I think that this Coney Island situation, like this person that we saw with the glitter, I don't think that's the person that killed Bunny. I think that's a separate chain of events. That's my theory. What do we think of it?
Interesting.
The fact that I came up with the theory at all, I feel, is impressive. So let's start there. Thank you. I love applause. Sly, how are you feeling after this week? Are you thinking any kind of way?
I'm thinking that it's ridiculous we haven't seen more bodies on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the fact that we really only have one mystery going on, the idea that multiple people are involved in different aspects of it, I can see that being where they're going with it. But yeah, I don't know. I was just expecting more murders in the building.
Yeah, and less art recreations. Am I right? Less night parties. Alexis, what are you thinking?
I mean, I have two, after this episode, I have two thoughts, right? One is I am fascinated that we chose to keep Theo and Father as part of this narrative. I, as a viewer, I'm happy he's there, but I did not necessarily need that after the first season. So I'm interested from a writing perspective.
I needed it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm interested from a writing perspective as to what their role is, why it was important to bring them back in the show. I think it stood out to me in this episode because while I can't even say that. Although I enjoyed Theo in this episode, I did think it was a little contrived. I did think the way he showed up in the episode was a little contrived, which makes me have questions. But I think I had mentioned early on as well that it does make sense to me that this crime is not being perpetrated by one person. And to add on to what you said, Liz, I have been wondering if there's not an additional, a third person involved. I think maybe the person that stabbed Bunny is not the person in all black that we saw flee, and that neither of those people are this person in glitter. I think it was really fascinating that they jumped to, this person we're talking to that wants the matchbook must be a killer. That is not a jump I personally would have made. I don't think that is necessarily the salute, the answer to that. So
I also think that there's pieces of the personalities that don't match for me, right? Why would someone with a deep knowledge of the back alleys of the Arconia work for security at Coney Island? The personalities don't map for me versus Charles's son, or not Charles, Oliver's son would probably know the secrets of the building like every other kid that was there, right? But he's a teacher and he's not in Coney Island. He's somewhere else, right? So yeah. Sly, any other thoughts before we transition to another point with this?
I think I just have a lot of feelings about this episode that I want to dive into.
Okay, do you want to do that now, or do we want to go to the Who Killed Bunny website?
Let's do it. Do this, and then we can do the website.
Okay, let's do it. You want me? I'll take down the murder board. How about that?
Yeah. I loved getting to see, the representation of a deaf actor on screen, and I'm always going to be excited about that. I was not excited about how narratively the character being deaf contributed nothing. Like, it was just like, there's a deaf character, we're going to use that as Mabel talking to herself and having no contribution to this interaction. It also just reiterated the point that, like, I really hate hearing people so much of the time, and all of Selena in this episode just got on my nerves and just grated and was uncomfortable, and I was like, I hate when I'm in this situation. I hate everything about this interaction. So that did not help my enjoyment of this episode. And it just, in an episode that had such a powerful line about representation and how deaf people aren't in the room to tell these stories, and that's why they're so poorly represented most of the time, to have that be in the same episode where a deaf character isn't really utilized at all other than just being a body for somebody to talk at, I feel like was super hypocritical. And it'd be one thing to have just like not a great overall representation, but to have that in an episode where you specifically try to call out other people for not having great representation, not a fan.
Well said. I also was curious around the ankle monitor aspect of that was the only character dimension it felt like they gave him, and that's not character dimension, it's weird almost stakes, I guess. Do you have any thoughts around that aspect of his portrayal?
I just have questions about the logistics of the ankle monitor. What are his constraints?
How did he get all the way to Coney Island?
Yeah. Where's he allowed? Is it just for monitoring? Is he on house arrest? I just had so many questions pertaining to the ankle monitor, and I felt like it was kind of cheap to use that as a forced proximity. We got to charge it up or whatever.
Yeah.
It was something. It was the choice.
Lots of choices made by Only Murders in the Building, including this interesting marketing campaign that we're all going to enjoy together now. So I'm going to put on my Only Murder sweater for this, which means I can't hear you for a moment if you wish to shit talk me, which I hope you don't do because we are live, but you're welcome to.
I can't believe Liz, watched last week's episode and was live tweeting it all the day before the show, and I can't believe that she confirmed that we have no beef. The disrespect.
Wow, I can't wait to listen to that back after the episode's over. Well, you gave a very loving rant about me last week.
It was incredibly well done. The timing was also exquisite.
Sly's got many talents. Multi-talented person. All right. I've got my season 1 killer hoodie on. I've got my tiny mic. All right. This is hulu.com/who-killed-bunny, which has kind of a ring to it. I don't know when this website launched, but I found it today. Therefore, it's new to me. We're not going to turn the audio on for best experience. That's a lie. Roll over the doors to see the suspects. Click anywhere to close. So they want us to look at all of the people that they have, introduced us to, and then pick someone as...
Hold on, can you go back to the middle yellow?
Mm-hmm.
The director.
I was shocked when I saw this one too.
Okay.
Of Brazos. To me, he's the most irrelevant person on the show. Oh, where'd he go? Here he is.
There he is. Interesting for them to include him.
Dr. Grover.
I can see that.
We only saw him for a few moments. He's on the board, right?
Yeah.
But he's been desperate for money since last season.
Oh,
yeah, he was in a lot of last season begging people to come to his practice. So
he has not yet discovered that he can do therapy online.
He needs Mabel's help to go viral is what I'm hearing. Okay.
It's an interesting jump from the words that came out of my mouth, but sure.
Grant. Poor Grant. Howard. Ivan.
Not Ivan.
Detective Krebs? No, not him. Although I
could see Krebs being the...
You think it's him?
I don't think it's him, but I could see it being him.
I have wondered, though, both in regards to Krebs and Amy Schumer, if they're not involved in some piece of it somehow. Like, I can see someone that's, like, trying to solve the case and going outside the lines to do that, like, somehow getting involved in all of this. And I can see Amy Schumer, who wants to buy the television rights, like, you know, being involved somehow as well to continue the case.
Inserting herself.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
yeah, for sure.
I don't understand where she's gone. We have not.
She's just remodeling her apartment.
Yeah, I don't think time. I mean, I don't think time is linear. Period. But I don't think time in the Sting apartment exists like it does for the rest of the world. I think that was established last season.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
She's literally in her Clueless era, early 2000s, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Stunning.
We love a Jane Austen reference.
We love a Jane Austen reference. Yeah. So this is like an interesting list for the show to provide us with as well. I don't know if the show would really put up the person who did it. If this is meant to throw, like, obviously there's like some throws in here, I think, and then like some people they actually want us to consider, but like I don't see Oliver up here.
I want to see what they have to say about the director. Like, that's such a...
No, I guess I don't actually say it. But yeah, why would they throw the poor director on there? What did he do?
So I've been listening to Rabbits on a Loop, which I talked about in an earlier episode. And in its attempt to ground itself in reality, even though it is a fictional audio drama, they have a lot of discourse about media that has used like websites and games like this to like further their narrative forward, right? Fringe was one that I think is really fascinating because Fringe as a show went and just made believable websites for every company mentioned in the show. So like Massive Dynamics was really important in the show. You could get on that website, you could apply for a job with them, right?
Wow.
And there were clues kind of hidden throughout the pages and pages and pages of material on that website. A lot of similar stuff happened around Lost. Like there were not only like, you know, role-playing games you could play, but you could also like find websites for those things. And I would maybe argue that would have maybe been a better direction to go with this Doors Games situation. Yes. Like I think I would have preferred like one of the members of their fan club to do like a blog and that to be what we read. I don't know that just Doors of Random Pictures. Like, congratulations to the intern of the week, but I don't know that adds anything to my experience.
Intern of the week. What I'm hearing is hire Alexis for your guerrilla marketing needs because I love all of that. They are getting Ali Stroker and some of the fans to be in the post-episode recap that they are doing, but I think we have way more fun over here. Just saying. Just saying. So if you want to sponsor us to do it instead, we're here.
Can we get Ali Stroker on our show?
Yeah.
They do have a very, I don't actually think this went down in the group chat, but one of us had some very spicy opinions about the Leverage after show for Leverage Redemption, and it has very much the same vibe to me. So like, just let Liz and I and Sly and Marissa do it.
Yes, we shall continue on our merry path with our after parties the way we wish to throw them. We can't stop. We won't stop. I see Marissa was here. Suspicious. Marissa knows we're talking about only murders in the building. Decides what a coincidental time to have an intermission. She can't hear us. I don't know. I think
I will say, since Marissa is currently at a Broadway show, in our infamous show doc, we do have 2 Broadway show references in our notes, and that cracked me up.
Do you want to read them out for the class?
Yeah, Alexis, you can share yours first.
Oh God, that means I'm gonna have to find it. Hang on.
Even I can't find it.
Is it my 12 Angry Women comment? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, it's...
Oh, no. I see. Everything is legal in New Jersey. Yeah. Everything is legal in New Jersey. Yeah.
So that's halfway through Alexis's notes, and then the end of my notes goes, blackout. So we got both the Lin-Manuel Miranda universes in our show doc today.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's like too many, but it's fine. As the person doing a series about Andrew Garfield and Tick Tick Boom, I have to concede that some referencing is allowed on the show. Yes. What shows is Marissa seeing is a fabulous question. She has them all up on her Instagram, Miss Abobissa, if you want to go see. She's been to 3 so far, and tonight's her 4th. So she's truly doing the damn thing when it comes to doing New York Broadway. Very jealous, but we'll hear all about it next week. Okay, we are almost at the top of our show, and I don't think we actually planned how we're ending the show tonight, which is a fantastic use of the show doc all around, everybody. We are all complicit in the end of the notes for tonight, but I kind of love that because it gives us 20 minutes to just chit chat and wrap up We'll Throw the After Party and wrap up Only Murders in the Building. I will say there is a severe lack of Ben Platt on the murder board, and I'm going to have to evaluate why I think he's immune to this analysis for next week. So I devote myself to coming back with that in mind. Sly and Alexis, what are you going to be watching in next week's episode of Only Murders? Or watching for, I should say.
I don't know. I feel like at this point, I've spent too much time trying to think critically about this season, and now I'm just going off of vibes. Like, whatever you pitch to me, sure, I guess. I'll take it. I don't know. I feel like every time I try to have a smart thought about the show does something dumb instead. So I'm going to stop having smart thoughts about it and enjoy the little brain thoughts of, yes, fun murder show.
You're going to join the Liz train is what I'm hearing, because that's exactly how I watch this show. That's why my first suspect was Timothée Chalamet. I started the season strong by saying I was convinced Timothée Chalamet did it. Alexis, what are you watching for next week?
I think that this show has perhaps arguably lacked some balance in the character development versus like the B and C plot versus like the mystery that they are actually trying to tell. And I would like there to actually be some movement in the mystery in the next episode. That would be cool. Yeah.
I'm going to be looking for some tied up loose ends, of which there are many. Like, I feel like this whole Alice situation is like stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. And I've never really cared about it the whole time, but I would like for some final resolution on why she's being the way she is. I don't understand why our new, what's her name? The manager of the new Nina?
Oh,
Nina
the board president?
She's disappeared. Well, I know she has had the baby, but in terms of the plot, like, I don't understand why these characters keep having moments and like leaving again. Same with Howard. I want to know what's going on with him and why he's being weird. I want to revisit the painting because I feel like the painting got dropped and I still don't understand Charles's dad and like that, why that was all relevant to this season. It's going to take a big finale, I think, for me to be sold on this season being better than season 1, because season 1 had a little bit more of a focus that I feel like I understood while we were watching. And this season feels like there's like the high school play is another subplot that I don't really understand why it's important. So yeah, I'm hoping to be impressed.
Especially with season 1, we saw the end of season 1 in the first episode, right? It kicked off with where they were ending. And this season kicked off right after the end of season 1. So they can't go, like, they can't end with that. It's too, I feel like this season is too linear. We're not getting enough jump back and forth unless it's like backstory, like fleshing out our characters. The presentation of the season has been so linear that it, I think, is harder to appreciate all the threads they're putting out.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, Liz, when you were kind of listing off all of your loose ends that need to be solved or that you want to be solved. It just kind of brought home for me how odd this episode truly was. Like I feel like there were moments during this episode where we could have seen Alice try to check in with Mabel, which I am now realizing that we didn't see. I also feel like, and this is a little bit of a leap, but I feel like as someone who stole a lot of jewelry and like was involved in that kind of aspect of crime, that Theo probably had some knowledge about how crime works that could have been useful. Perhaps especially, I don't feel like the jump from Jules to Art is a jump, but it's not a big one.
If we had a main character who was competent in having normal human conversations, we could have gotten some more insight on crime. Who'd have thunk?
It was so weird to me. I mean, when you were talking about it before, Sly, I think like one of the things that, and I'm not going to put you on the spot now, but I would love to hear discussed in the future is that I think there's a lot of discussion around like including people and their storyline not being about a certain aspect of who they are, right? So I do think there is a place maybe to have Theo in the show where his storyline is not distinctly about his deafness, which I think is different from just having him be a wall to talk at, right? And I think that has some room. But the thing that kind of it really hit me when you were talking about it so eloquently was that like even his apartment didn't add anything to his character, right? Like even the set deck in the space that he was in was very confusing. Like if I was just looking at that, I don't know that I could have defined who Theo was for you. And I don't know that the show gave me a reason for that. And I think one of the reasons I was disappointed as well is because I'm a dumb romantic. So like when you run away from Alice in this episode and you're waking up in the bed in this man's apartment, like I wanted there to be chemistry. I wanted there to be, like even if it was just like platonic, like something there. And I couldn't feel that there was anything there because like, as Liz said earlier in the episode, like it was just such a choice to be so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but to be so abrasive, I guess.
Angry.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, I'm someone put us back on track because I got off track. But.
No, I'm with you.
I would love to dive into that. So go ahead, Liz.
I just wanted to say, I think the enemies to lovers trope would have been like really fascinating if they had led with like, I don't trust you because you killed Zoe. If that had been like the first thing out of her mouth, I would have been like, tell me more. And then I feel like if there had been a beat of like, oh, like we don't know how to communicate. What's the solution? Find a solution and then start communicating. And then I can be angry at you again, but not angry at you for not understanding me, just angry at you because you killed Zoe. I feel like that would have been a whole different like path of like seeing her anger at him. But instead they went immediately to like this weird ableist place that was like kind of jarring and not like productive for anybody or anything.
And I just don't buy that Selena Gomez, who legitimately has one of the stillest speech productions I've ever seen that makes her impossible to speech read, was the one struggling with the communication methods being used and not the person who was on the receiving end of the aggression on not being able to communicate, which, you know, I don't buy that. And also just like ASL is so visual, and I understand you're not gonna get 100% if you don't know a lick of ASL, but you can get basic concepts. You can get the gist. Like, he's not using complicated signs. He's using very like picturesque signs to try to communicate and work with you, and gesture, like lots of use of gesture in this episode, and for like having Mabel not understand that. And it felt like almost like purposefully writing up and not making an effort to understand that. I mean, it happens all the time. Anytime I try to go out in public, voices off, I will experience this. But I don't need that to be the representation in this fictional show where you can literally write whatever storyline you fucking want to.
Yeah. It also like makes me view the character differently for her to know that that's how she would treat her interaction with the deaf person.
We've seen her be very smart and clever, and we've seen her be, although she's dry and sarcastic, we've seen her be very compassionate. I mean, like, she got involved in this, right, in part because she wanted to know what happened to Zoe. She kept up this like long relationship with this man in prison. Like, she has done things where we can see her love and compassion. So with all of that together, it seemed like a particularly odd choice that she would be in this place with him. And I think one of the things that really stood out to bothering me, and in fact, my parents watched this episode before me, and my mom said the same thing, was that it seemed so odd to me that at the end, when she tries to sign to him, like in the way that he kind of laughs about it, to me read as if he was like forgiving her, like as he was trying to like bridge the gap to her, which seemed like a weird choice because I think she was continually the one not making any sort of effort. Right? It felt like too little, too late to me. That was like a weird. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but.
And I also didn't understand how she learned that sign unless he had like taught it to her earlier in the episode, and we didn't see that.
See, I had the opposite reaction.
Okay.
My reaction was, but I think I'm coming from like a 2022 place, and a place firmly rooted in like Southern education. But it is astronomical to me that you would not know please, sorry, thank you, and help. There are most 2-year-olds in the state of Tennessee know that. So it was really weird to me that like she didn't know there was nothing. Like there was like a negative.
Sly?
I mean, yeah, no, I definitely know and have experienced people who their only concept of ASL is incorrectly signing thank you in a way that turns it into a swear word, and not knowing the difference between please and sorry. So like her being absolutely fucking clueless, totally believable.
I think more what I meant is that, like, if you're absolutely completely clueless, I don't think you know the sign at the end. If you know the sign at the end, I think you knew
would have had
enough throughout to get
her beginning and end of the episode felt very polarized. And like, how could you be so daft in one moment and then be able to do this by the end of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they move her character on next week, like with this in mind, and if they bring Theo back and what their dynamic will be like. I feel like it's not the last we've seen of him this season, especially knowing the parent situation with Oliver.
I keep thinking there's this I think Sly and I have shared these videos. I don't know if we have. There's this great TikToker who has very beautiful long nails and does a lot of signing.
I love her. Yeah.
I can't think of what her name is.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, did a video about people assuming that she can't drive because she's deaf. And I kept thinking of it in the moment where Theo was driving the car. She has a whole bit about, like, I drive with my eyes. Like, I don't know what you're driving with. I kept thinking I wanted that TikTok to be like canonical in this episode.
Oh my God, what's her at? She's so good. She's the one that PewDiePie tried to pop off about, and then the whole internet dragged him to filth.
Or whatever.
Scarlet. Yeah.
I was gonna say there are a lot of deaf people with lots of long nails. Like, I don't like. That's
no, I
not
just know I've exchanged those videos with somebody, so I thought that may be enough context. My apologies.
I think it was me. I think that's why I knew what you were talking.
That would make sense too.
Yeah. Well, Only Murders is shaping up to be a very interesting, fascinating season 2 on many levels, and we'll revisit it next week. Besties, how close are we getting to She-Hulk? That's around the corner.
Weeks.
The promo starting on Disney Plus. Every time I log in, it's like She-Hulk coming soon. And they're starting to get their press points out about CGI and how CGI workers are treated. It's a whole battle royale of the press. So it is shaping up to be a spicy little start to the She-Hulk press cycle and beginning of season 1. Is it releasing this week? Is that what you were saying? Or
not next week, but the week after. So Liz will not be here for She-Hulk episode 1, which I think this is the second. You were not here for Miss Marvel episode 1 either.
Not. I'm missing all of the premieres of Marvel shows, and it's not intentional. It's just
like, one has to wonder.
Me talking about like tearing MCU TikTok to filth and then skipping out on our premiere episodes. Yeah, that's a great look for me.
Liz is now making a great case for why she should be our suspect of next week.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to do with all. I'm part of the fan club. I got the merch. Listen, I'm out here trying to record the fan podcast.
Excuses you. I think in many true crime cases, the fan that bought the merch is the one that gets involved in the story.
See, the fact that you're the expert and you could be totally bluffing right now, and I would still believe you either way.
Please don't paint me on the internet as the expert on true crime. I don't want that title. I don't want it. Take it away.
What title would you like instead? Pick your title.
I would say literally anything else, but I know Sly will come up with something ridiculous. I don't know.
You are the will consume a 40 episode length series on anything in a very short amount of time expert on the show, which may include from time to time true crime, depending on if it's about art, museums, or very niche history involving very niche topics you like, but never about cats. Is that accurate? Did I nail it?
Yeah, I get weird about trusting other people when it comes to cat facts.
Yeah, so we don't do cat crime, nothing with cats, which is fine.
Crime. We don't do family being separated crime. I don't really do that.
No. Speaking of cat crime, what if season 2 on the way?
Mm-hmm.
This is Marvel's moment to bring Alpine to the forefront of the MCU. And I know who Alpine can replace, and I'd like to talk about it.
Okay, I also have some. Go ahead.
Captain Carter, Captain Catter. It's right there. Drop the first R. Alpine over Haley. Actually, don't use Haley's body. Put any other CGI cat body in a captain suit. And not only have we solved the problem of Peggy Carter in the MCU, not only have we solved the problem of Alpine joining the MCU, but we've given Sam Wilson a well-dressed sidekick as he enters the Captain America throne.
I have to say, when I was rewatching last week's episode at 2 times speed to keep up with Liz's tardy live commentary, it stood out to me that someone on this taping said that they wanted to yesterday the DC universe so that they could put the money into the animated universe. And I thought that was an interesting statement to make the week before Batgirl was ripped out of our hands.
Wow.
HBO and Discovery were collaborated. Or were combined, sorry. Yeah, so I'm not going to point any fingers at...
But if Sly wants to say something, the floor is theirs.
It is not my fault. But honestly, did we trust them with that property? No, we did not. So, like, obviously, it's very sad for the people who put, you know, a lot of hard work and effort into making that reach the point it did. But also, I don't really trust them with that property, so I'm kind of glad that I won't feel obligated to watch it.
I have, however, been a little annoyed that they did get to do the animated superhero pets first. I think that is frustrating to me. And I would like to pitch again that I don't know why we don't have a show, an animated show where Alpine teaches mindfulness and answers important questions.
Thank you. Absolutely. That's actually the after party. It's available to cats only on Patreon. We turn off the stream and turn on animated Alpine.
Listen, there was at one time I pitched that I was going to act that out with popsicle stick puppets. Does anybody remember this? I was going to print out a little Alpine and I was going to.
Yes.
So when we start doing Patreon content, I will pledge to do that for everyone.
Our Patreon's looking real snazzy. So far, we've promised fanfic book club and Alpine via popsicle sticks. I mean, that's some exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. I don't know what's next. Just like live streaming the group chat to the general public for everyone to be part of. Like, I don't know.
We cannot do that. There are some things that does not need to leave.
Some things have to stay sacred. Oh, that's so funny. And with that, we've reached the end of our 2-hour mark. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss next week's episode. I do want to say in our closing here, I am producer Liz all over the internet. Things are getting crazy as we enter film festival season, and I think I'm going to need some support soon. But good thing Sly gave a very dramatic take on how calendars work in last week's episode. Bestie, your resume has been noted. I would love to invite all of you to come hang out at Tea Time with Liz, happening Wednesdays on my Instagram story, where you get to ask me questions about PR or articles or interviews that have come out or just drama that you want to hear me unpack from a PR lens. I love doing that with you every Wednesday. It's so fun to see what you're thinking about and the questions you have. And otherwise, you can find me on TikTok talking about the Andrew Garfield interviews of the past year. I'm starting that very beloved series this week, which I'm very stoked about. And don't worry, darling. And whatever Niall and Lewis Capaldi are doing in Ireland, which I'm extremely high-strung about at the moment. And I'll leave it there. Sly?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at SlyClownMC. You can find me live on Thursdays with JJ on TikTok for Thirsty Thursdays. You can find me live on Fridays at twitch.tv/pointinprogress, talking about all things. I honestly, honest to God, almost went with a Canadian progress there, and I caught myself at the last minute. If you missed that, talking about all things video games and pop culture. And of course, you can find MC University on the Point in Progress YouTube, where you will see 2 familiar faces very soon. Got 2 people on deck for some episodes that are being recorded very soon.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Alexis?
I am at Alexis Blake Reads Comics. If you need previously posted comic book information, to previously ask questions and the occasional spicy MCU take. And then I am also everywhere on the internet at just Alexis Blake, where I talk about all of the other stuff that happens in my life. So,
and of course, our suspect of the week, Missa Bobissa, is in New York and posting Broadway updates to her Instagram. Here's another question I have for Marissa to answer. Does she pre-plan her memes? Because her memes on Twitter this week have been absolutely inspired about what she's been like in New York. If you're not following, she's hilarious. I love my wife. But please follow her everywhere and go support her latest Hair in the MCU video, which is incredible. What are you laughing about? What did I say?
I think that's the first time we've gotten an I love my wife on air. It took me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Marissa knows I love her very, very, very deep down.
Wow.
Very
that was not what I was reacting to.
Never
We'll find out off
reacting to something else.
And that's it for this week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.